retailer sale is good. I'm never going to argue with money coming into your business. But a retailer sale is not the same thing as a business asset. And that distinction matters more than most authors realize. Over the past few videos, I have been talking about author stores, direct sales, and what it means to build an author-owned business. Not because I think authors should abandon retailers, not because I think Amazon or any other retailer is terrible, and not because I think everyone needs to go and build a giant tech setup by Tuesday with a strong coffee and a prayer. Retailers still matter. Amazon, Kobo, Apple, Barnes & Noble, and other retailers are still important places for readers to find and buy your books. But I think we need to have a more mature conversation about what those sales actually give you. Because many authors are looking at retailer sales and thinking, that's my business. And I want to gently but firmly challenge that. A sale is income. A buyer relationship is an asset. Those two things are not the same. Income matters. Of course it does. We're not running a charity with bookmarks and vibes. Money coming in helps you pay for covers, editing, formatting, advertising, software, groceries, electricity, all the other thrilling parts of being a business owner. But if the only thing you get from a sale is the royalty payment, your business is missing a major piece of long-term value. That is what I want to run through with you today. Because once you see the difference between income and assets, you start looking at your author business very differently. If your author business is mostly built around retailer sales, you may be earning income without building much control. That is a very different way to look at it. Most authors naturally focus on the sales. Did the book sell? Did page reads go up? Did the pre-order convert? Did the launch hit the number? That makes sense because sales are visible. They are immediate, they're measurable, and they give you that little lift when the dashboard looks healthy. We all enjoy a dashboard that behaves itself. Rare creature though it sometimes can be. But the stronger question is this. What did that sale build? Did it build your email list? Did it give you a direct relationship with the reader? Did it give you buyer data? Did it let you offer the next book? Did it help you understand which traffic source worked? Did it create a pathway for repeat sales? If the answer is no, then the sale still matters, but it may not be building the asset you think it's building. And this is where I think many authors get stuck. They are getting sales, sometimes even decent sales, but they are not necessarily building business value underneath those sales. So when something changes, an algorithm shifts, a retailer updates a rule, an ad stops converting, or a launch does not land the way they expected, the whole thing feels a bit shaky because the income came in, but the business asset did not grow enough behind it. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. An author runs a promotion to their first in-series book. They send everyone to a retailer. A few hundred people click, some buy, some borrow, some move on. The author checks their dashboard and sees sales. That's great. But now let's look at what the author did not get. They did not get the reader's email. They did not know which buyers came from which promo unless the retailer data made that very clear, or the author had some kind of tracking links created, which often is not the case. They did not get to offer a bundle at checkout. They did not get to guide the buyer to book 2 on a thank you page. They did not get to segment the buyer as someone interested in that series. They did not get to invite the buyer into a reader experience they control. They got the royalty, and again, that matters, but they did not get much else. Now, do that over and over again for months or years, and that's where the hidden cost shows up. You can have sales and still have very little ownership. You can have readers and still not know who they are. You can have traffic and still be sending most of the value somewhere else. And this is why I keep coming back to the store conversation. Your store is not just a place to sell a book. It's a place to build business assets around the sale. That is the part that authors need to understand. So what is a business asset? Let's keep this simple. A business asset is something that continues to hold value after the initial sale. Your email list is an asset. Your buyer list is an asset. Your store is an asset. Your backlist is an asset. Your reader pathway is an asset. Your data is an asset. And your direct relationship with readers is an asset. These are things you can continue to use, improve, and build on over time. A single sale, though, is a transaction, a system that helps the reader keep buying, keep reading, and stay connected to you is an asset. And this is where the author-owned business model becomes powerful. You still use retailers, but you stop treating retailer sales as the whole business. You start asking, how do I turn reader interest into something I can build on? That question changes everything. Let's compare two versions of the same reader. In the first version, a reader sees your Facebook ad for book one. They click through to Amazon, they buy the ebook, you get the royalty. Great. That's a win. But now what? Maybe they read it, maybe they continue to book two, maybe Amazon shows them book two, maybe Amazon shows them another author, maybe they forget your name, maybe they meant to come back later and then life happens because the washing machine beeped, the dog threw up, and someone asked what was for dinner. Reader attention is fragile, very fragile. If the retailer keeps them moving through your series, that's wonderful. But you are relying on the retailer's ecosystem to do that. You do not fully control the experience. You do not fully control the follow-up. You do not own the relationship. So that sale was income, which is great, but it did not necessarily build much beyond the moment. Now let's look at a different version. A reader sees your Facebook ad for book one. They click through to your store page that you control. The page clearly tells them why this book is a good fit. There are no competing books sitting beside yours. There are no retailer recommendations pulling their attention away. They buy book one. At checkout, you offer them books 2 and 3 as a bundle for a special price. Maybe they say yes, maybe they don't, but now you have a chance to make the offer. After purchase, they land on a thank you page that says, here is the best reading order and here is where to go next. They are added to your buyer list. Your email systems know that they bought book one. A few days later, they receive a warm, helpful email from you about the series world and the next book. Now, the sale has done more than create income. It has created a relationship. It's created data. It's created a pathway. And it's created the possibility of repeat sales. That is what I mean when I say a buyer relationship is an asset. The difference is not just where the transaction happened. The difference is what the transaction made possible. Now, I want to be very fair here because this is not about bashing retailers. Retailers do some things really well. They give reader convenience. They have trust built in. They have enormous reach. They already have reader accounts, payment details, devices, recommendations, categories, charts, and ecosystems. For many authors, retailers are still going to be an important part of the business for a long time. I am not suggesting you throw all of that away. That would be silly. And we are not here for silly unless cake and coffee is involved. The point is not that the retailer sales are bad. The point is that they are incomplete as a business foundation. They give you income, they give you distribution, they may give you some visibility, but they do not usually give you the full buyer relationship. And that is the distinction. And when you understand that, you stop asking retailers or my store, you start asking, what role should retailers play in my business and what role should my own store play? That is a much better question. Let's talk about buyer data because this is one of those topics that can sound a bit dry until you realize how useful it is. When you sell through your own store, you begin to see patterns. Which book are people buying first? Which bundle converts better? Which series attracts the highest value readers? Which email sent buyers to the store? Which ad brought in actual purchases, not just clicks? Which readers bought ebooks only? Which readers add audio to their books? Which readers respond to early access? That information helps you make better decisions. Let's say you write a 3 series. Series A gets the most social media attention, Series B gets the most comments, and Series C quietly converts best in your store and has the highest bundle sales. If you are only looking at service level attention, you might spend all your energy on Series A. But if your buyer data shows Series C is where the money is, you now have a much stronger decision point. You might create a bundle for Series C. You might run ads to that series. You might prioritize the next book in that world. You might build a special reader experience around it. Without buyer data, you are often guessing. With buyer data, you are still making creative decisions, but you are making them with better information. And honestly, that's where things become calmer. Not perfect, business is never perfect, but definitely calmer. Another major difference is what happens immediately after the sale. This is one of the biggest advantages of having your own store. When a reader buys from a retailer, the retailer controls the next step. When a reader buys from your store, you decide what happens next. Let's say a reader buys book 1. You can offer book 2. You can offer books 2 and 3 together. You can offer the audio version. You can offer a complete series bundle. You can offer a bonus pack. You can invite them to pre-order the next book. You can guide them to the right reading order. You can make the experience feel helpful rather than pushy. This is where the line I have been saying comes in. Retailers give you one sale. Your store allows for multiple. And I want to be clear about this. This is not about tricking readers into buying more. Nobody likes that. We've all had enough of strange internet checkout nonsense where you try to buy one thing and suddenly someone wants to sell you socks and insurance and a mystery box and possibly even a llama. This is about offering the next logical step. If a reader has just bought book 1 in a series, offering book 2 is not pushy, it's actually useful. If a reader buys an ebook and you offer an audiobook as an add-on, that's useful. If a reader loves binge reading and you offer the 3-book starter pack, that's useful. Good selling is often good service, and that's the energy that we want. Now let's look at email. A reader buys from a retailer. Unless they also join your email list separately, you cannot contact them directly. You do not know who they are. You cannot say, I noticed you bought book 1, here's book 2. You cannot say, here is a bonus scene from the couple you just read. You cannot say, this new release connects to the book you bought last month or last year. You cannot build that relationship directly. Now compare that with a store buyer. They buy book 1. They receive the book, they hear from you, they learn what to read next. They may receive a short welcome sequence that introduces your world to them. They may be invited to a pre-order, they might get early access, they may become part of your core reader base. The email list is not just a marketing tool. It is the relationship layer for your business. And that is why I keep saying that authors need to build businesses they actually control. Because if the relationship only exists inside the retailer system, You do not have as much control as you think. So let's contrast the two models. In a reader-only model, your business is mostly built around transactions. A buyer reads, you're paid, and you hope that they continue. That can work, especially if you have strong read-through and the retailer ecosystem is doing a good job of moving readers through your catalog. But it's still fragile because so much of the relationship sits outside of your control. In an author-owned model, your business is built around relationships that create transactions over time. A reader buys, you stay connected, you guide them to the next step, you learn what they respond to, you build repeat behavior. You create offers that make sense to them. That model gives you more to work with, more information, more flexibility, more ability to adapt. And that matters because publishing keeps changing. Retailers' rules change, algorithms change, advertising costs change, reader behavior changes. But a direct relationship with readers remains one of the strongest assets an author can build. That is why this conversation matters. Now, I can hear a few objections already, so let's talk about them. The first one is, but my readers prefer Amazon or Kobo or Apple or Nook. Some of them do. And look, that's fine. You can still sell at the retailers. This is not an either-or conversation. You do not need to force every reader into your store like some sort of strange book-selling bouncer at the door. Some readers will always prefer retailers, and let them, no problem. But some readers will happily buy direct if the experience is simple, trustworthy, and valuable. Your job is to create the option. The second objection is, I'm not technical. Good news, you don't need to be a coding wizard. Tools like Payhip, Shopify, WooCommerce, BookFunnel, Stripe, and BookVault have made this more doable than it used to be. Is there a learning curve? Yes. Will you need to set things up carefully? Yes. Is it impossible? No. The third objection is, I do not have enough readers yet. That may be true, but this is exactly why you want to start building the pathway now. You do not wait until you have thousands of readers to build the system. You build the system so that when the readers arrive, the system can actually hold them. That is the mistake many authors make. They chase traffic first and build the pathway later. By then, a lot of readers have already leaked away. So start small, start one page at a time, one offer at a time, one bundle at a time, one reader pathway at a time. That is enough for you to begin to create your store. So if you are listening to this and thinking, all right, I see your point, but what do I actually do first? Here is where I would start. First, look at your current retailer sales and ask, what are they building beyond income? Are they leading readers to your email list? Is your back matter doing its job? Are readers being guided to the next book? Do you have a clear place for them to go if they want more from you? Second is create one direct offer. Not your entire catalogue, not a giant store with every possible format and enough tabs to make everybody need a lie down. Start with one useful offer, a starter bundle, a bonus version, a direct-only audiobook add-on, a 3-book pack, a pre-order with early access. Third, create one simple follow-up. When somebody buys, what happens next? What do they receive? What email do they get? What book are they being guided towards? And how do they stay connected with you? Fourth, measure what happens. You do not need to overcomplicate this. Just watch the basics. How many people visit? How many buy? How many take the upsell? And how many join your list? What questions do readers ask? This is how you begin turning sales into assets. Small steps, they're useful steps, and they're steps that build. This is usually the point where authors either keep treating retailer sales as the whole business, or they begin building something underneath those sales that gives them more control. You can keep making sales and hoping the retailer ecosystem keeps doing the heavy lifting. Or you can start building a relationship layer, a store layer, and a follow-up pathway that makes every reader more valuable over time. You are the boss of your business, and part of being the boss is deciding what kind of business you are actually building. If you were sitting there thinking, I can see why my sales are not becoming the assets I thought they were, and I want help building the pathway properly, then the next step is simple. Join your Signature Get My Book Out There marketing system using the link below. Inside, we map this to your books, your genre, your catalog, and your current setup, so that you're not guessing. You're building something that fits your business. Retailer sales matter. Please do not hear me saying they do not. A sale is still a sale, and we like those around here. But a sale that only gives you income is different from a sale that also builds a relationship, creates data, opens the door to the next offer, and strengthens your long-term business. That's the shift. Retailers can be a part of your business, but they do not have to be the whole foundation. The more you build direct reader relationships, the more control you have over what happens after someone buys. And that is where your business starts to become something more stable, more valuable, and more yours.